Good morning. Welcome to Entrepreneur Country TV, Edition 10. What we're going to do this morning is to wrap up the year with the key events of the year and our analysis from Entrepreneur Country. 2015 has been the year where everyone is asking the same question: who owns my data? And of course, with Max Schrems, the Austrian, whose case around the privacy of his data and it's being shipped out to internet companies in Silicon Valley, going all the way up to the European Court of Justice, with them ruling that the Safe Harbor Agreement violated the privacy of European citizens' data. This we see as an important development because it's going to force everyone involved, all constituencies, from the individual, large corporates, US digital tech firms, as well as entrepreneurs everywhere, to come up with a sustainable set of economics for consumer data. We are anticipating the status of consumer data as an asset of the individual and will continue to work for establishing real property rights for consumer data inside of Entrepreneur Country, the defined perimeter of the community and the platform online, as well as in the real world. We saw probably the most significant event in 2015 was the Chan-Zuckerberg initiative, where they intend to give 99% of their wealth away during their lifetimes through a for-profit vehicle, which I thought was interesting evidence that even the most wealthy believe that they are the best stewards and directors of the wealth and the direction of good that it can do, not the government. Not that there's anything wrong or ill-meaning about the people who work in government, but the direct relationship between wealth and the outcome of the individuals behind it towards the good that they wish for it to achieve is clearly the direction of travel for the world's philanthropists and the most wealthy. In so many ways, the concept of the nation state was fundamentally challenged from every angle, from the Scottish referendum to the Greek debt crisis, to the Syrian refugees fleeing Syria, to, dare I say it, the establishment of ISIS, to acquisitions of Ukraine, and so many other shakings of the foundation of Europe. We ask ourselves, what really is it to be a citizen of a country? Well, we, of course, in Entrepreneur Country decided to set up a new country many years ago. We decided to organize with other people who care about this, the 225,000 people growing at a 14% monthly growth rate, to build the future through Entrepreneur Country. We launched Entrepreneur Country TV just a mere 10 weeks ago and already 5,000 views. We've opened an office in Paris and continue to build our regional network around the country, the continent, and the world, doing work helping corporates design their digital future from Tokyo to Poland. And finally, we have a challenge every quarter, Build a Country challenge. Every quarter, we pick off a different element of what it means to be a citizen in a country, to design the future, and we will be bringing those to you through Entrepreneur Country. We had, in the depths of the terror attacks in Paris in November, the Charlie Hebdo attack in January, an attempt for the ideas of hatred, anger, and terror to take root in a free liberal society, being rebutted by political parties working together to kick the National Front out of frontline politics. Whether it's in Modi's visit to the United Kingdom and the rise of confidence in the Indian national spirit, or the Pope's visit to America, or the resurgence of the Christian church in the United Kingdom, we have really a battle of ideas underway. And it's the role of the citizen who is passionate about the design of society, who organizes his and herself with his fellow citizens to keep the ideas of freedom, liberty, good, fairness, equality moving forward so that the world will follow those ideas. The opening up of Cuba, a deal with Iran, Russia fighting its way back from the wilderness, British astronauts going with Russians to their Star City space program. Does economics really solve problems better than politics? Well, I, for one, have always been a fan of the vision of Mikkel Vestergaard, who speaks of a private version of the United Nations. So much of the goodwill that we want to see through the political process actually is delivered better through the economic process of the market. So 2015 into 2016 will continue to see entrepreneurs at the heart of society, not just creating wealth, not just creating businesses, but even sometimes despite themselves, solving social problems and improving the way that the world works for each and every citizen. With Star Wars upon us, it seemed only right to ask the question, how does the Empire strike back? And 2015 gave us a lot of evidence and points of view, such as the one from John Chambers, the CEO of Cisco, who said that within 10 years, 40% of the large companies, the incumbents, will not be here. And we see with the scandals that have erupted in places like Tesco and Volkswagen most recently, that when these large companies don't know how to get to the future, don't know how to reinvent themselves, that they resort, unfortunately, to different kinds of antics and activities, which further imperil their future prospects. We see in Entrepreneur Country advising so many large companies that they do all manner of things to get to the future. They set up funds, they hire McKinsey, they buy lots of companies, they do accelerators, hackathons, all of which is just another way of saying they spend money. They build cost centers. Building a cost center is not a way to get to the future. What you need is a partner that's going to help you reimagine the future of your industry. Reimagine how you can be profitable in the future, which is a network-based future of digital technology. Note the recent ruling giving Saudi women the right to vote. Congratulations to each and every one of those Saudi women who are now going to be able to participate in the building of their country. And also in 2015, we saw the overwhelming vote for the political party in Burma of Aung San Suu Kyi, showing again that feminine leadership, sometimes through many decades, can win the hearts and minds of people. Women are taking their rightful place in society next to men, and the men who will be successful in these next decades will be the men who embrace emotional intelligence, team spirit, collaboration, all of those qualities which are inclusive, sustainable, and long-term. Is there a relationship between the recent release of, say, Windows 10 and the COP21 agreement in Paris? Well, I think there might be. On the one hand, you had not that much coverage of an operating system which has been set up to provide a set of benefits to developers, consumers, and business, a single way of activities being organized. On the other hand, you had a huge amount of media coverage and some very important people in Paris for the climate change breakthrough, but a close observer would say, what's the plan? Where's the use of technology? How are we sure that the process leads us to achieving the outcomes? I worry about that gap. And I also worry at this end of 2015 about what seems to me some very large and some very subprime unicorns that are heading for a catastrophic car crash, which is not going to benefit society, and an unbelievable need for sustainable economics. And I am reminded of the fact that I live in Europe and have done for the past 28 years, despite being raised in Silicon Valley, where there are a different set of starting points in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is a youngest child. It wants to turn over the table. It wants to recreate the world. It wants to spend a lot of money, and it tells a really good story. Europe is an oldest child. It values the estate. It doesn't believe for a moment that you can recreate the infrastructure, but it knows some really important things. It knows that the individual is neither exclusively an employee, exclusively a user of services, and not a shareholder. It sees the individual in the round. That the same person in society is actually shareholder, consumer, and employee, and that is part of the future that we must build around. And so that brings me to my favorite book of the year, which was one by Robin, the founder of Zipcar, around peers and platforms. Entrepreneur Country gets fully behind that version of the world, which is about empowering the individual to be a robust actor in society, to build their personal economy with technology tools and a technology wrapper. But it is paramount that in Europe and the rest of the world, that large companies become platforms, that they organize the economics of these ecosystems, and that they engage with entrepreneurs and not try to recreate all of these new applications for the benefit of individuals. That's how we get through and over creative destruction. We get to the future by understanding that it is only because of sustainable economics, economics where the sharing is clear between the individual, the entrepreneurs, and the large companies. We are committed to building the future of business and society with sustainable economics, which empower the individual. And we've set a goal for 2016 of growing our community fourfold to 1 million committed citizens, designing the future by designing Entrepreneur Country. Thank you so much for being a part of us in 2015. We look forward to continuing to roll forward Entrepreneur Country on the 4th of January. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.